There is a specific kind of panic that only happens on the first day of a new job. It is not like any other panic. It is the panic of knowing that every single person around you is watching and forming an opinion, and you have absolutely no idea what you are doing. Hello and welcome back to English with Ella. Today's story is about exactly that. My first day at a new job. The nerves, the mistakes, the desperate attempt to look like I knew what I was doing, when I absolutely did not. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Ella, and every episode I tell you a true story from my life in clear, natural English. Perfect for A2, B1, and B2 learners who want to improve their listening skills just by listening. Today's episode is called Please Think I'm Competent, which, as a title, tells you quite a lot about how the day went. And our first word is the perfect word for what I was desperately trying to do on that first morning. To make an impression. To make an impression. To make an impression means to create a strong feeling or opinion in someone's mind. When you make a good impression, people think, "Oh, I like them. They seem capable. They seem warm, interesting, professional." When you make a bad impression, well, people think the opposite. Here are your examples. She made an excellent impression at the interview. They offered her the job on the spot. That means she created a very positive feeling in their minds immediately. First days are important. You only get one chance to make a first impression. That means the very first time people meet you, they form an opinion. And it stays. I was desperate to make a good impression, and then I walked into the wrong meeting room. That means I really wanted them to think well of me, and then something went immediately wrong. To make an impression. And on my first day, I was trying so hard to make a good one that I think I made things significantly worse. Okay, let's go back to that morning. The night before my first day, I did not sleep well. This will not surprise you. I lay awake going through everything I needed to remember. The route to the office, what I was going to wear, what I was going to say when people asked me about myself. I had actually practiced, out loud, in my bedroom, saying things like, "I'm really excited to be here," and "I'm looking forward to getting started," in front of my mirror, like I was rehearsing for a play. Which, in a way, I was. I got up early, I got dressed carefully. I looked at myself in the mirror and thought, yes, okay, you look like a person who knows what they are doing. Good. And then I left the house 30 minutes early because I was absolutely terrified of being late. I arrived at the office with 25 minutes to spare. I stood outside for 15 of those minutes because I felt too awkward going in that early. Then I went in at 10 minutes to 9, signed in at reception, was shown to the office, and then, the moment I walked through that door and 20 people looked up from their desks, I felt completely overwhelmed. Word 2. Overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. Overwhelmed means feeling like too much is happening at once, so much that it is difficult to cope. When you are overwhelmed, your brain struggles to process everything. The information, the faces, the noise, the expectations. It all arrives at the same time, and your mind just cannot keep up. Here are your examples. She felt overwhelmed on her first day. Too many new names, too many new systems. That means it was all too much at once. She couldn't process it all. He was overwhelmed by how kind everyone was. That means the kindness was so much and so unexpected that it was hard to take in. I stood at the door and felt completely overwhelmed. There were so many people. That means the sheer amount of it all hit me at once. I didn't know where to look or what to do. Overwhelmed. That is exactly the word. 20 desks, 20 faces, 20 people who all knew each other and knew this place, and me, standing at the door in my carefully chosen outfit, smiling so hard my face hurt. My manager, her name was Claire, came over immediately and started introducing me to people. Name after name after name. And I did what everyone does in that situation. I smiled and nodded and said, "Lovely to meet you," and forgot every single name the moment she moved on to the next person. Every single one. By the time we had done the full office tour, I could remember approximately 2 names. And one of those was the coffee machine, which she had introduced as George. George was very important to me that day. And all the while, I was trying very hard to do our third word. To blend in. To blend in. To blend in means to fit into a new environment without standing out. To look like you belong. Like you know what you are doing. Like you have always been there. When you blend in successfully, nobody notices you particularly, which on a first day is actually exactly what you want. Your examples. She tried to blend in at the new school by dressing like everyone else. That means she wanted to fit in, not to stand out, to look like she belonged. He found it hard to blend in. He was too loud, too enthusiastic, too much. That means he kept drawing attention to himself when he was trying not to. I was desperately trying to blend in, and then I knocked a whole plant off someone's desk. That means I wanted to go unnoticed, and then I made myself very, very noticed. Which, yes, that happened. Within the first hour. Okay, so the plant incident. Let me explain. I was being shown to my desk. Finally, my own desk. A place I could sit and look like I was doing something, even if I had no idea what that something was. And I was walking through the office, following Claire, nodding at people as I passed, and I turned slightly too quickly. And my bag, my large, slightly too full bag, connected with a very tall plant on a very small stand. It went over in slow motion, that horrible slow motion moment where you can see exactly what is going to happen and you cannot stop it. The plant hit the floor. Soil went everywhere. The person whose desk it was, a man called David, one of the 2 names I had actually remembered, looked up from his computer with an expression I can only describe as patient resignation. I apologized approximately 11 times. And David, bless him, just said, "Don't worry, it needed repotting anyway." I have never been so grateful for a sentence in my entire life. And David, with his patience and his kindness on that chaotic first morning, brings us to word 4. Colleague. Colleague. A colleague is a person you work with. Not necessarily a friend, though colleagues can become friends, but someone who shares your professional environment, your workplace, your team. Your examples. She got on really well with her colleagues. They went for lunch together every Friday. That means the people she worked with became people she genuinely liked. He asked a colleague for help when he wasn't sure what to do. That means he turned to someone at work, someone in the same environment. My colleagues were so kind on my first day, especially David with the plant. That means the people I worked with were warm and patient, even when I destroyed their office plants. Colleague. David became one of my favorite colleagues, possibly because of the plant. There is something bonding about shared disaster. So, the morning continued. I sat at my desk. I was given a very long document to read, something about company policies and procedures, which I read with enormous concentration and understood approximately 40% of. I was shown the systems I would be using. There were 4 of them. They all looked similar. I immediately got them confused. I was given a login and a password. I typed the password wrong 3 times and locked myself out in the first 20 minutes. Claire reset it very patiently, twice. And at about 11 o'clock, 2 hours into my first day, something unexpected happened. One of my colleagues, a woman called Priya, sitting 2 desks away, leaned over and said very quietly, "First days are awful, aren't they? Don't worry, it gets so much better." And I felt something release in my chest, something I hadn't even realized I was holding. Which brings us to word 5. To settle in. To settle in. To settle in means to gradually become comfortable in a new place or situation. It doesn't happen on day 1. It happens slowly, over days, weeks, sometimes months. First, you find the coffee. Then you remember people's names. Then you stop feeling like a stranger. And eventually, you belong. Your examples. It took her a few weeks to settle in, but now she loves it. That means it was hard at first, but gradually she became comfortable. She found her place. He settled in quickly. He was naturally sociable and found it easy to connect. That means, for him, the adjustment was fast. He became comfortable almost immediately. I knew I would settle in eventually. That first day just felt very far from eventually. That means I believed it would get better. But in that moment, better felt a very long way away. To settle in. Priya was right. It did get better. Not that day, but eventually. It always does. Okay, 2 more words. And these 2 are both brilliant. Very different from each other, but both completely essential for everyday English. Word 6. To wing it. To wing it. To wing it means to do something without preparation, figuring it out as you go. No plan, no script, no rehearsal. You just go, and you work it out in the moment. Winging it is not always a bad thing. Sometimes you have no choice. Sometimes the preparation you did is enough and winging the rest is fine. And sometimes, if you are honest, the winging it goes surprisingly well, and you wonder why you ever prepared at all. Your examples. She hadn't prepared a speech, but decided to wing it, and it was brilliant. That means she had no plan. She just spoke. And it worked. I had no idea how the meeting would go, so I just winged it. That means I couldn't prepare properly. I went in and figured it out as I went. Sometimes in life, you just have to wing it and hope for the best. That means preparation isn't always possible. Sometimes you just go and see what happens. To wing it. At about 2 o'clock on my first day, when I was asked to sit in on a team meeting and contribute ideas, I winged it completely. I had no context, I didn't know the project, I didn't know the team's history. I sat there listening carefully, and then when someone looked at me and said, "Ella, any thoughts?" I opened my mouth and said something that I genuinely cannot remember. Whatever it was, people nodded. Someone said, "That's a good point." I nodded back confidently, like I had meant it all along. To wing it, an essential life skill. And our final word, word 7, you might recognize from episode 6, because it is one of those words that keeps coming back. Relief. Relief. Relief is the wonderful feeling when something difficult or stressful is finally over. The tension releases, the breath comes back, the weight lifts, and you think, I got through it. Your examples. She felt enormous relief when the exam was finally over. That means the stress ended. What replaced it was relief, warm and welcome. He sighed with relief when he heard the good news. That means something he had been worried about resolved well. The worry left. Relief came in. Walking out of the office at the end of my first day, pure, total, absolute relief. That means it was over. I had survived. And everything I had been holding all day, I could finally let it go. Relief. At 5:30 on my first day, when I walked out of that office and into the cold evening air, I felt it completely. Every muscle in my body relaxed at once. I had knocked over a plant, walked myself out of the computer system, forgotten everyone's name, winged an entire meeting, and somehow, made it to the end of the day. I bought myself a coffee on the way home. I deserved it. Word 1. To make an impression. To create a strong feeling or opinion in someone's mind. She made an excellent impression at the interview. First days matter. You only get one chance. I was desperate to make a good impression, and then I walked into the wrong room. Word 2. Overwhelmed. Feeling like too much is happening at once. Difficult to cope with. She felt overwhelmed on her first day. He was overwhelmed by the kindness. I stood at the door and felt completely overwhelmed. Word 3. To blend in. To fit into a new environment without standing out. She tried to blend in by dressing like everyone else. He found it hard to blend in. I was desperately trying to blend in, and then I knocked over the plant. Word 4. Colleague. A person you work with. Someone who shares your professional environment. She got on really well with her colleagues. He asked a colleague for help. My colleagues were so kind on my first day, especially David with the plant. Word 5. To settle in. To gradually become comfortable in a new place or situation. It took her a few weeks to settle in, but now she loves it. He settled in quickly. I knew I would settle in eventually. First day just felt very far from eventually. Word 6. To wing it. To do something without preparation, figuring it out as you go. She hadn't prepared but winged it brilliantly. I had no idea, so I just winged it. Sometimes in life, you just have to wing it and hope for the best. Word 7. Relief. The good feeling when something difficult or stressful is finally over. She felt enormous relief when the exam ended. He sighed with relief at the good news. Walking out at the end of my first day, pure, total, absolute relief. 7 words. All real. All natural. All yours to use today. And now, my question for you. Have you ever had a terrible first day somewhere? A new job, a new school, a new country? What went wrong? Did you knock over any plants?
Tell me in the comments. I genuinely love reading them, and first-day disaster stories are my absolute favorite. If you are enjoying English with Ella, please subscribe. New episodes, new stories, new vocabulary for real, everyday English. Coming up in our next episode, I want to tell you about the day I had to return something to a shop. Which sounds completely ordinary. And it was. Until it wasn't. Things got surprisingly complicated. Unexpectedly dramatic. Entirely over a pair of shoes. That episode is called, It Was the Wrong Size, I Promise. Until then, keep listening. Keep learning. And if it is your first day somewhere new, you are doing better than you think. I promise. See you in the next one. Bye for now.